Hi folks, and welcome along to the Hot Rod Show, coming to you as always from Auckland Harley Davidson. On tonight's show, well, we've got a bit of everything. We've got scooters, we've got choppers, we've got hot rods, we've got drag racing, you name it, it's all in there. We kick it off with Neil Surtees. Now Neil for 25 years was a boat builder, and what a boat builder. Now all his skills have transferred quite quickly into hot rodding. Doug went down to Kawerau to check out his good mate, Neil Surtees. At the tender age of 15, Kawerau's Neil Surtees found that he had a real talent for building things, beautiful things, and for the next 25 plus years he turned his immense talents to building amazing aluminium boats. His expertise with aluminium fabrication adapted quickly to the hot rod world, and his craftsmanship and imagination has turned out some real masterpieces. With boat building behind him, Surtees now builds magical vehicles, not because he has to, but because he wants to.
So how long have you been on it now?
Hell. I got the motor at the Napier swap meet, kind of got home and then just started ripping into it, I suppose.
And just carried on from there?
Yeah, carried on from there, but I've been sidetracked a bit lately with other things, so kind of been a bit slack, I suppose. But
a classic example, his latest project, the Aero Car, all hand-built, bolted or riveted together with no welding in sight. Using all his skills honed from years and years of fabricating aluminium boats, Neil has created yet another masterpiece, the self-designed and hand-built aluminium boat tail body, a work of art. Everything you see, save for the engine and chassis, is either built from scratch or hand-picked to be period correct. Right down to the power plant, a vintage Tiger Moth aeroplane engine he happened to pick up at the Napier swap meet. In his shed on his property, an Aladdin's cave to any collector or rodder. He has over a dozen cars, all with Surtees magic dust spread over them. Staying with fabrication, here's part 2 of Doug's visit to the toy shed in Rotorua.
Well, here we are at the toy shed in Rotorua, and I sort of thought the first thing you should see, and this is the first thing you see as you walk in the gate, is this beautiful Model A pickup. But, you know, it's mocked up, of course. One of Russell's new projects, but tell us about this one, Russell.
Well, it's Model A29 pickup that I had in the shed at home, and a mate scored the 471 Detroit 2-stroke, and it's supercharged and turboed, and yeah, he's put it together over a couple of weeks and it's going, and we'll take the Muscle Car Madness with us. It's got a 6-speed Allison out of a tank, and Jag suspension and power steering and whatnot, and if it does skids, it'll be good for a laugh.
Okay, here's a pretty cool two-door.
Yeah, that's Mark Pedersen's. It's an FC, I think, from memory. He's converted it to two-door, built a full chassis method. It's got RX8 front and rear suspension,
yeah,
and a twin-turboed LS1 in it, and some serious metalwork's gone to it. It's getting closest to being finished now. He's actually built it all at home himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the tubings and everything, man, it's artwork in there, isn't it?
Yeah. He's an engineer, but yeah, he spent millions of hours working on that thing. But he's getting there. The result's going to be quite cool when it's finished.
Pure art, man.
Got it was a 348W big block in it. I think we did gearbox and clutch and exhaust and bits and pieces on it for him. I think he's actually sold it now. Gareth White, he brings lots of cars in.
But it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
eh?
it's a cool little car. Yeah, the W motor's neat because it's unusual, you know.
It's an eye catcher. Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of sits right and looks right, and manual too, which makes it
Oh, yeah.
fun. Proper. That's a 47 Chev, I think, from memory, I can't quite remember. Big block Chev, and we've just made up a custom EFI and blower setup for it, so it's got a 671 on it, and we've made a multi-point injected manifold to go underneath that.
Yeah.
And got a link computer and bits and pieces. It's got a manual behind it and a 9-inch. He's an old chap, but it's his daily driver sort of deal, and it goes good. He started actually more for fuel efficiency, was half of his idea, make it EFI. But we've actually made it multi-point sequential, so it's same as what a modern car would have. So it starts and runs, you know, as it should. It left here when we finished it, and I haven't seen it since, so it must be going all right.
It coasts on one cylinder.
Yeah.
Doug jumped back in the car and the Good Time Pies tour set sail for New Plymouth.
We ain't in Georgia. We're in New Plymouth. So state your name, rank and serial number.
Yeah, well, I'm Bruce Riddick.
And you're from a very wet New Plymouth.
I'm from New Plymouth, born and bred. I've been hot rodding for close on 30 years. Currently own a T-Bugger. Had that for 24 years. And have a lot of fun.
Isn't it? And here it is right here. Man, so like you do a bit of racing in it, and you break out of the 11-second bracket, eh?
Yeah, I've been regularly getting told off for doing that. So I've got to try and bring it down. Run 10/8 if I really want to. So I try and keep it under 11 now, over 11. So
it's a worker in it, eh?
Oh yeah.
No show pony. No. It's made to race.
Yeah, it's the person who built it, Peter Darby, he sadly passed on. He built it, you know, practical, and didn't worry about all the shiny bits. He built it to go fast, and he sold this to me as a roller, and I put my 400 Chev in it.
Yeah, wow.
It's made to go.
So what size car have you got on there?
That's a 750 Edelbrock.
Wow. And so like it's a 400 small block. So
400 small block, yeah.
So what sort of bits and pieces have you done inside?
It's got flat tops. Roller rockers, all that sort of stuff. I-beam rods. H-beam rods. Steve Hildred short blocked it for me. He dynoed it to tune it, and we found it had about 480 horse at the wheels.
That's not bad, eh?
More power than I ever had, and I'm not supposed to be racing it now. That's what it is.
It's a race car.
Say it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You certainly don't drive it on a day like today.
You sure don't, and not with tyres like this at least.
No.
Man, 400 horsepower, 408.
480.
480.
Yeah.
Forgive me. That's that's a hooing amount of horses in front of you.
Yeah. On the drag strip it'll go 60 feet in 1.47 seconds.
Yeah, and you do a few wheel stands.
Oh, I have done in the past, yeah.
Yeah.
One scared me, but...
the first one or the last one?
It's only really done one big one, but we changed the torque converter and stopped it doing that.
Yeah.
Good old Ford 9-inch, 411 gears.
And this is somewhat based off the Project T, isn't it?
It was originally, yes. I think that project inspired a lot of T-buckets back in the 70s.
Scores of buckets.
That was the start of the T-bucket revolution.
It was, yeah.
From New Plymouth via the magic of the Mount Messenger Tunnel, the Good Time Pies tour finds itself in Christchurch at Morehouse Muscle Cars. These guys specialise in muscle cars and hot rods.
Now check this out. This sweet Camaro.
You're watching the Hot Rod Show, coming to you from Auckland Harley Davidson in Mount Wellington. Time for a bit of drag racing now, but here's a pop quiz. If I said to you, damn Yankee, and you said to me, oh, a hairband from the 80s, you shouldn't be watching this show, because only the hot rodders and drag racers will know that damn Yankee was Kevin Dolores, the late great Kevin Dolores' A Altered, which held the A Altered record for quite some time. Now this is a story about love, and about reflection and about tradition, because Kevin's son, Jason, who was just a little kid, I think 5 or 6 years old when Kevin was really in his heyday on the drag strip, has rebuilt Damn Yankee. We went down to Mary and caught up with him and find out about the story. Jason, fantastic to see Damn Yankee here. Tell us a little bit about the car.
Well, it all started back many years ago after Dad died. I was on the hunt for his original Altered, his first drag car. After many years of searching, I found the body, the original body, the fiberglass body, which is the stars and stripes you can see there. I then sent it down to Robert Barnes to get back to its original dimensions, because it was modified and lengthened and all that sort of thing. And then due to a medical event, the original plan was to do a replica of the car, as in wheelbase and everything. And due to a medical event for myself, with open heart surgery, lying in hospital thinking life's too short, I need to get this thing going. Bought the rolling chassis, which was an ex-Clive Davis. He started building it, and unfortunately he passed away while he was building it. So I bought that, and we've got Damn Yankee 2 basically, as you can see it now. Yeah, chrome moly chassis. The original chassis was 98 inches wheelbase, this is 125, so it's a bit longer. The engine combination is pretty much how Dad had it. It's the same period correct Hillborn injection he was running. It's a 460 cubic inch big block Chev with a 2-speed power glide and with a 9-inch diff. But yeah, that's pretty much the bare bones of it. Yeah.
I think one of the hallmarks of your dad, and I remember your dad racing, was it was always immaculate.
Yeah, I've tried my best. So probably not as good as he'd like, but yeah, I was pretty focused on it. Always has to look good. Yeah. So that's what we've done. Yeah.
And he was always so good with the sponsors. I remember the Loctite car.
Yeah. Originally sponsored by Loctite, then Vico Colour Prints. Unfortunately, they're sort of not around as much anymore. But yeah, Alderman Automotive and Machine in the States is where Jim Opelt works. He built the engine for me, who used to be partners with Dad in the car. So they've come on board and helped with putting the engine together. PPG have helped us out with all the paint. So yes, it's been quite a stressful journey and a heap of learning curve, and still more to come. So
But I'm sure a labour of love.
it was, yeah. Sometimes it wasn't, yeah. But a lot of frustration. But yeah, hey, that's all a part of learning. But,
I'm sure since you brought it out, lots of people will be coming up and saying, "Oh, how great it looks!" and they remember your dad.
yeah, that's right. They have, and even I've had a lot of help from Phil Hurst, who's he was racing when Dad was racing, and competitors and stuff like that. And he's been helping me a ton with this car, with setups and just maintenance and just making me learn, And I'm very thankful to him, So yeah, I had a lot of help.
I guess back in the day, and you were only a little kid, if I remember rightly, did you ever think one day I'd be driving one of these things?
Yeah, it's always a dream. I mean, when Dad started racing, I was 5, and I was 10 when he finished. That was my favourite car out of the 2 or 3 he had, because he got into the 8s with that car. He was one of the first naturally aspirated Altons to get into the 8s back in '76, which was a big deal back then. So we've bettered his times already. So yeah, it's looking good. Yeah.
What do you think the potential of the car is, or does that not matter?
Yeah, well, it comes down to driver as well. Yeah, I don't know. There's torque it can go quite a bit. We're only, I'm not even using a trans brake on the line yet, so we're down to 8.5 seconds at 155 mile an hour. So still only, I'm not even using a trans brake to do the proper launch yet. So low 8s.
You were saying to me before that it's been a pretty steep learning curve.
It has. When I first jumped on this thing, I've never been in this type of car before, let alone racing a V8, and just the amount of G-force off the line, the brain had to catch up, and it took quite a few runs to get used to that. But now it's good as gold. Yeah, it's like yeehaw.
How much in this game is about experience and learning what you need to know, like setup and things like that?
Yeah, there's a whole lot into it. I mean, the rear end setup on this is quite unique to these sort of cars here. It's got suspension, it's got the shocks, it's got the 4-bar setup, where a lot of these other guys are solid mounted. And we managed to, off the bat, sort of set it up pretty well. It's going straight as an arrow. Once we sort of load it up a bit more off the line, it'll be see how it behaves. But yeah, it's all trial and error, but at the moment it's going pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
I think if I scratch my memory banks, it always went pretty straight.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, Dad was, he was always on the button and very consistent, and that's what I'm.
Staying with drag racing, one man that's devoted the majority of his life to the sport is Auckland's Tony Marsh. Through his company, Marsh Motorsport, has set the bar as high as it can go. We caught up with him in his workshop to find out how it all started, where's it all going. This is a long interview, but it's well worth listening. Tony, let's go back a long way and let's start at the very beginning. You're a Hastings boy.
Yes, grew up in the Hawke's Bay. 1970, I had the bug before 1970. 1970 I joined the Hawke's Bay Car Club and I bought a 105E Anglia off a guy called Ray Pallison. It was the quickest car in the Hawke's Bay Car Club by a mile, and it was a 1650, and it took me a year and I turned it into an 1800cc, so 1806 actually. And in November 1971 I did the Hawke's Bay Car Club's 25th anniversary speed weekend, which was Te Anapea hook line, a Gold Star hook line. The next day was a sprint and a flying 10th, and I got FTD both days on my first outing, which was pretty cool and still a memory I treasure actually.
And that kind of hooked you on the motorsport side of things?
Well, I had motorbikes before that, and the first thing I actually modified was a 500cc twin. It was a matchless 500cc twin, 2 carburetors on it, and we welded the pistons up, believe it or not, because you couldn't buy them, so we actually welded them up and redid the valve pockets. Camshafts came up to Auckland to a place called Munro and Slaughter, and they welded the lobes up, and that was in 1968.
Wow.
So that's where it started.
Because you were a mechanic at that stage by
Yes,
trade?
yeah. I
Working
started.
for Waddies?
No, Hawke's Bay Farmers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then they amalgamated with another GM dealer, Bailey's. So there was too many of us. So the 3 of us went to Waddies and we finished our apprenticeship in the workshop at Waddies.
And did you think, like, I know, like, when I finished my apprenticeship, you think, you know, I'm not going to be a mechanic all my life, I'm going to do something else. But clearly you didn't.
No, I started 19th of December 1968 was the day I actually started. 50 years later, I'm still doing it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell us how you got involved in drag racing. I know through the company you're involved in every form of motorsport there is, but for a lot of people watching this, it's drag racing they know you're from.
Well, what happened was, back in the Hawke's Bay Car Club days, we hung around with the Hawke's Bay Rod and Custom Club guys, and they started building this drag strip. So we were out in the weekends giving them a hand, and then at night time and other weekends I built a dragster out of exhaust tubing. Wow. Well, everybody did. It was either steam pipe or exhaust tubing. So I built a front engine dragster out of exhaust tubing and put a Vauxhall 3.3 engine in it and went to the opening meeting of Thunder Park.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That was 1975.
And you were telling me that morphed into you swapped the engine to a 265 and went even quicker.
Yeah, well, I ran the Vauxhall powered one at Hastings, at Thunder Park, and it had a PB gearbox, which had a real tall second gear, and it didn't like taking off in second, so I put a 272 Y-block gearbox in it. It had a shorter second, come up to Merrimeri, and Merrimeri hadn't been open long either. I had no rev gun or anything, I only had an oil pressure gauge, because that's weight. And I roared off with the 272 gearbox with a shorter second gear and over-revved the thing and kicked the rods out. 5 out of 6 came out and all their brand new drag stripped down.
Oh, nice.
So that happened. We went back home and we put a Hemi 6 in it.
And then I was reading on your website that rail eventually went to Martin and Ray.
No, that was
that a different one?
That was the next one.
Oh, okay.
The one with the Valiant. We sold the chassis to a guy in Hawke's Bay. Then I built the Fiat Topolino.
Oh, that's right.
So the Hemi went in that. Then I sold the Topolino to another guy in Hawke's Bay. And I bought that Canadian front engine chassis, 2 coming to New Zealand. And we put a small block Chev in it. That was 1980, 79, late 79, 1980.
So in those days the opposition would have been Hogan and Larson and people like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and the class were in Errol Utington.
Oh, Errol Utington?
Yeah, the late Errol, yeah.
Oh, wow. They're amazing times. And then while the drag racing was going on, you were doing other things as well, weren't you? Had you opened your shop by then, or were you still working for somebody else?
No. When in 1980, just after the dragster, I bought a Shell Sport car.
That's right.
I gave up on the Chevy powered rail.
A really quick Datsun, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I ended up in Shell Sport and ended up working for Reg Cook. So that's when we left Hawke's Bay and moved to Howick, which we've been ever since.
Reg? Working for Reg, did you learn stuff off him?
Well, I left Hastings to work for him because he knew more than we do. So I actually dropped in wages or salary to work for Reg, but it was all about learning. Did we get on well? No, we fought like a husband and wife, but that's okay.
But he was the Datsun guy, wasn't he? Like
yes,
he was the guy if you wanted a fast Datsun, you went and saw Reg Cook.
Yeah, he started with Minis and then he went Datsun. He went Nissan, yes. Reg raced all sorts of stuff, but he had a very, very good workshop and some very knowledgeable people working for him. And he's an absolute character. Like he's different.
And he's still going strong with his land speed record stuff at Bonneville and all the rest of it. He's not young anymore.
No, he's just into his 70s, but I would say he's madder than he ever was, actually. It's a passion. It's a passion, that's what it is.
It said in your website that eventually you couldn't stay there because you were competitors in the weekend but workmates during the week.
Well, at Manfield he protested me.
Oh, that's a bit tough.
Yeah, it is a bit tough. He protested me, so it wasn't long after that we had a divorce, and that was in 1983, June 83, and that's when Marsh Motorsport started. It was because I left Reg over the Manfield incident and went out on my own.
And that was in Manukau, wasn't it? That wasn't here?
Yeah, in Manukau City, yes. Yeah, correct.
And did you think, or did you have any way of knowing at that time that it would be as big and as successful and run so many championship winning cars as it did?
No. No, definitely not. And after Shell Sport, we went rallying, and then back to sports sedans, and then we built the RX-8 for Kieran Wills, and then we went offshore powerboat racing for something to do different
That was
again.
Midnight Express, wasn't
Midnight
it?
Express.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then back in 2000, we built that small block Ford rear engine drag, so back to drag racing again. But even 6 or 7 years ago, if you said I was going to have a top fuel car, I'd go, nah, never happened. But it did.
And probably 6 or 7 years ago, if you had to set up anyone in New Zealand was going to have a top fuel car, you'd probably say, no, that's not going to happen.
No. Then, of course, what happened is Reece Fish got one, and we lined the A fuel car up against him, and he just walked away from us. So we went, oh, that's okay. And 6 months later, Plank.
I was going to say, I thought Plank was involved in this somehow.
Yeah, 6 months later, Plank turns up at the Hart Club, and we're having a beer, and he was talking about Reece Fish's top fuel car, and he goes, you know, there's one for sale in Australia. And I go, I'm listening, and he goes, Jim Reed bought one off Cowan. Jim Reed bought one off Coletta, and his son's too tall, he can't fit in it, and it's a steel, it's cheap. I said, don't tell me this. This was a Sunday night. Monday morning, I'm on the phone to Jim Reed. During that week, we owned it. That's how fast it happened.
And that shows the passion of Tony Marsh, because when you bought the A-Fueler, you sold everything to buy that, didn't you?
Even my house.
Yeah, ended up living here.
Yes. I even sold my house to buy the A-Fuel car. Everything we had except for my Land Cruiser, sold everything. Not the workshop, but everything to buy the A-Fuel car. The top fuel car went to the bank.
And they thought, this isn't going to be a risk.
Yeah. But they did loan me the money.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. Tell us about getting the A-Fuel car, because you bought that from Tom Conway in the United States.
Yeah, the A-Fuel car, we had the Ford and we were spending a lot of money and only...
We should probably talk about the Ford, because that's a world beater as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in 2000 we got the small block, we built the small block Ford, and we ran it to 2009, and in 2004 we took it to Australia, to Willowbank, and it was the first NA small block or big block, first NA anything outside the USA to run a 6-second quarter mile. That was at Willowbank in June 2004. And then by 2007, 2008, to today, it still holds the mile per hour record for a B dragster automatic. Still got the top speed record today. So that's an accomplishment.
Well, it's more a feather in your cap, because I remember coming in here when you were rebuilding it, and I mean, you kind of reinvented the small block Ford.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. It was still a small block Ford, but yeah, we did do. It was we did make some huge changes to make the thing reliable. Yeah, to rev it that high and make it reliable.
Is that, do you think, because of your analytical mind, or is that the Kiwi tinkering?
Well, the Kiwis are very, very good at looking that way, peripheral vision. You can't have tunnel vision. Because we work on so many different engines, you've worked on a lot of engines with a lot of issues. So you've got to understand why it failed. Sure. Then you know how to fix it. And if you don't understand why it failed, you're done. But so with the Ford, we moved lifter bores, changed the lifter bore angles. We did all sorts of shit. It was a clever little motor.
And then after that, you brought the Spitzer chassis?
After the yellow car was was built in New Zealand, but to American plans. It was a Frameworks chassis. Then we bought the Spitzer and put the last motor in it, which ran high 6.7s, which for a small block in this country, down the old Mary that was like this, that's very, very good.
And I would guess a pretty eye-opening experience.
Oh yeah, it was entertaining. Just like the following year we had the A-Fuel car, and from the half track to the finish line, both of them spent more time in the air than they did on the ground. Wow. Because we have race pack on board, so we know what's going on, and especially the A-Fuel car, more time in the air than actually on the ground.
The chopper first emerged in Southern California in the mid-50s. easily spotted by their modified steering head angles and radically lengthened and stretched out forks. They were traditionally built from an original motorcycle, which is modified or chopped, or is nowadays custom built completely from the ground up. The Discovery Channel's Great Biker Build-Off and the hugely popular Orange County Choppers reignited the chopper craze all over again. Paul Jr. and Paul Tuttle Sr. couldn't have known what they were creating. The chopper community in New Zealand is alive and well. Whether it's the Kiwi-bred build-your-own mentality, or importing masterpiece from America, choppers are here to stay. If you've got more rubbish around the house than you know what to do with, or if that hoarding obsession is getting out of hand, then you need a blue bin from Blue Bins. From mini skips or the rubbish devouring 9-metre bin, Blue Bins can help you out. Check out their website at www.bluebins.co.nz or give them a call on 09 846 7666. Blue Bins, locally operated for over 12 years. Give them a call, you'll be glad you did.
Well, anyway, here we have Todd from Blue Bins. Hey, Todd, how you doing, man?
How you doing? You good, thanks.
Wow, you guys offer a pretty amazing service.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at this, man. You put the bin down, you pick the bin up, you wrap it all up.
Yep.
Yeah, wow, this is awesome, man. Blue Bins. You've got to have Blue Bins. Don't get any other colour bin, you've got to get a Blue Bin.
Or give them a call on 09 846 7666. Blue Bins, locally operated for over 12 years. Give them a call, you'll be glad you did. Heading to Whangarei, you should check out the Avenue Heights Motel on Western Hills Drive. Close to parks and local amenities and within walking distance to the downtown CBD. Avenue Heights boasts an outdoor pool and barbecue facilities and fully furnished apartment, studios or 1 or 2 bedroom units. Avenue Heights Motel. Just Google Avenue Heights Motel. The Merrimeri Dirt Track Club is probably one of the oldest motorsport facilities in the country. Situated just behind the Merrimeri drag strip, they hold regular meetings and cater for every form of car. The Hot Rod Show's Emma Gribble tells us more.
Hey guys, so here with me today I've got Paul Westwood. He's one of our racers at Merrimeri Dirt Track as well. So Paul, tell us about what you race.
I've got a altered space frame with a 400 Chev in it. Basically our class is space frame cars, V8s only, and basically just horsepower, and we're just going to put it on the ground.
Cool, and tell us a bit about how you got into Merrimeri Dirt Track.
I was actually at a funeral and I met a guy there called Bill Game, who's been around the racing industry for years, and I went and bought a car, and then basically my partner wrote that off, put up into the grandstand, so that was quite good. And then that's how I got into the big class with the big boys, and now I'm in my 3rd car on my 4th season. Yeah.
And do you plan on sticking around for a while? You're not going anywhere?
Well, apparently I'm racing for points this year, so yeah, I'll be here all season. I just bought a truck to tow the old girl, so yeah.
And you haven't had any bad crashes at all, you say? Just your partner?
Yeah, and my other driver races in the car, Ricky Wilson. He likes putting it up on quarry walls. I was about to have a challenge down Waihi with other clubs who we race with in Waiuku, so we challenge each other. And it came to a race, and Ricky decided to drive the wall. But rubbin's racing, ain't it? And
so you mentioned you go to some other tracks. So what sort of other tracks do you go to, and how often?
I think once a year we challenge other. It's actually a bit more than that. Actually, I think we do a few times a year, and we basically just go to other tracks and challenge them. There might be 3 cars from each class, or whatever it gets picked, the amount of cars that's there, and then we just skid against each other, club for club. It's good.
It's good, nice mingling with the other racers, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's good.
All right, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck for your races.
You're watching the Hot Rod Show, coming to you from Auckland Harley Davidson, and we've got part 2 of the Tony Marsh interview. Don't want to miss that one here at Auckland Harley Davidson, still to come.
Oh, well, here we are. This likely gentleman over here, this is Kevin. And if you've never met Kevin before, hey, how you doing? Hey. Happy birthday. You know, like, there's a lot of people in petrol heads, and Kevin's one of the insane class, and I mean seriously insane class. Yeah, mopeds.
Yeah, mopeds.
Yeah.
Fast mopeds.
Yeah, 100 mile an hour moped.
Yeah, 106.
106 mile an hour.
106.
What do you wear, nylon underwear?
No.
How long have you been doing this?
Maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
And
Yeah.
like, what got you into this?
I don't know, scooters, they were fun, and it just progressed from standard to a little bit faster, and then it ended up here.
Now, to get to 106 mile an hour, what have you had to do to the engine?
Like everything.
Yeah.
The only thing I think that's standard is the gearbox.
Okay.
So standard gearbox. So I think those engines that in that bike started at 8 horsepower ish.
Yeah.
You know, but it's 55.
Yeah.
On
No.
on methanol. Oh yeah, it was avgas to start with.
Yeah.
I think that was like, you know, low 40s or so.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah.
know?
So you stepped it up a bit.
Yeah, so
you
then
just
we
want to be another Anthony Marsh, don't
Oh
you?
look, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not nitro, no.
No. But an engine cool, you can race a lot better.
Yeah. So more horsepower.
Yeah.
You know, which is where you're at. You know, hand fabricated exhaust, obviously, computerized ignition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It's a racing machine, isn't
Yeah,
it?
man.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah. I have ridden it down my road once.
Yeah. Scary?
I didn't do it again.
But we'll walk over here and take a look at the engine.
Okay.
Walk this way. Now here we have an engine, and as you can see, it's all alloy, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, they're quite nice. They're like I guess they made an effort to style even the engine, I guess.
They achieved it.
Yeah, it looks good. And it works. It's a compact unit, and horsepower can be found within. I mean, they obviously over-engineered it to start with, because I mean, like I say, it was only like maybe 12 horsepower, the good ones, you know, at the time. But you know, the sky's the limit nowadays.
Makes my Ford 10 horsepower engine in my little car look crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this one's like just a road motor for a scooter. You know, it's got a cylinder kit designed in the 80s in England.
Okay.
You know.
What brand is that?
Well, it's made by a company called AF Race Speed.
Okay.
But they had them made in Italy.
Where can people go to on the web, you know, who like this stuff to start to follow it?
Just type in Lambretta. It's everywhere.
Lambretta.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
But look, hey, thanks. Thanks for your time here.
All right. Anytime.
This has been serious eye-opening, and we'll have a look at this when we go down the track.
You're watching the Hot Rod Show, coming to you from Auckland Harley Davidson. Got part 2 of the Tony Marsh interview. Don't want to miss that one for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the A-Fuel car, because like I said, you know, probably the halcyon days of New Zealand drag racing was probably the 80s and early 90s, but then it seemed to go to sleep for a long time. It sort of, I don't know whether the interest waned, or probably it didn't from the driver's point of view, but certainly from a spectator point of view, the crowds just never came. But then you brought them back with the A-Fuel car, with the nitro car.
Yeah, well, the A-Fuel car we talked
No,
about?
the Top Fueler.
Oh, the Top Fuel car. Well, as I said before, that was Plank started that off. So I rung Jim Reed the following morning, got talking to him during the week, struck a deal, and a week later three of us were over to have a look at this thing and put it in a container, and then the track at the stage was still like this.
Yep.
So it stayed here until the track was fixed, and then we took it down there because it's too fast to go down that track. And of course the first 4 and then the first 300, then the first 500k per hour run. So it's a bit of an accomplishment, really.
It's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I mean, what did you get out of it? Because in Ent's driving it, I mean, you're servicing it, you're setting it up with the help of
Dom
Dom
Lagana
from America. But I mean, is it just a personal satisfaction that you...
It's a passion.
Yeah.
It was a passion to run a 4.
Yep.
I was determined to run a 4 and to run 300 mile an hour. I actually wanted to run 330 miles per hour. That was my goal. But the tracks here haven't got enough grip to go that fast early to run 330 miles per hour. We tried at Masterton, but that didn't work either. We went to Masterton with 3 brand new motors last year of current spec.
Yep.
They were stage 7 engines. So that's what the Yanks have today.
So mega horsepower.
Yeah, a new clutch management system, brand new blowers, and 3 brand new motors. A lot of money. And we went slower than Merrimer because the track that day was no good and we couldn't hook it up. So you've got to run 285 miles per hour at half track to run 330. We could only get to 270 at half track, so to run 330 was a bit of an ask. Yeah, in actual fact it was impossible. Yeah.
How fast would that car run, do you think, at Willowbank or at Sydney?
Well, it's in Australia at the moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And all our engines, not the Sydney just gone, the Sydney before cleaned up, didn't it? It's a Premier car. That's all our running gear. So that went to 385 and 1,000 feet.
So that must be equally just satisfying as seeing
Oh
it here.
yeah,
as it is
it
seeing
went
in
300.
Australia.
It went 318 miles per hour at 1,000 feet. So yeah, that's 330 plus and a quarter. Yeah, we just didn't have the money here to take the whole thing to Australia.
Yep.
I didn't have the budget.
Explain to people, I mean, we'll show the footage over this interview, but explain to the people, I mean, I know what it's like to be on the start line when that thing leaves. I mean, for you, as being as invested in it as you are, it must be just heart palpitating.
I don't even hear the thing.
Oh, really?
No, I'm that wound up. I'm watching the back tyres, I'm looking at the wheelie bar and the back tyres and looking to see if it drops any cylinders. Yes, it's loud, but I'm as deaf as a doornail. The A fuel car, and then on the top fuel car, if it puts any cylinders out. That's what you're always looking at, the actual noise and everything. I know, I'm focused on other things, yeah.
And how long did it take you to get a handle on that side of it, on the setup side of it? I know Dom helped a lot, but I mean, you're a clever guy, and I know I came in here one day and you were re-drilling oil galleries and said, look, I don't know why the Yanks ever did this, but this is how it'll be better, better lubed at the top end of the cylinders, in the cylinder head.
We've made a lot of changes to the block. The Americans don't, because if Alan Johnson doesn't do it, it's not necessary.
Oh, okay.
That's the way they think.
Yep.
The motors that we sold to Australia, other people have looked at what we did, putting pressure feeding oil to the idler gear on the front to stop them seizing and troughing the mains. Other people in Australia now doing what we did. They've copied off the Premier engines because it's common sense. They come with narrow cam bearings all the way through. The centre one needs to be narrow, but the rest, the journals are wide.
Yep.
And they run a narrow cam bearing. So we put big block forward cam bearings in the others, so there's more support. Just little things like that. No, the Yanks don't do it, no. But then again, a lot of them have tunnel vision.
And throwaway budgets too.
Yeah,
correct. We'll stick another one in.
Yeah, correct.
So the car behind us here, this is the next iteration, if you like, a door car. Tell us about the Maverick.
Well, in April last year we went to the Nostalgias and we gave, went with Bronson and Mike Reid, and Mike Reid drove it and Bronson drove it and Chris Tynan drove it, and Billy and I and Anthony, we hung around there all weekend, Kane, Duche, and we actually enjoyed working on this hot rod.
Yep.
And it was a cool day. So about 3 months later I said to Bronson, who's got a car lying around here that's reasonable? I think I might have a go at this Wild Bunch. And he said, what about Killer's car? I said, the Maverick. And he goes, yeah, the Maverick. I said, you'll never sell that. He said, it's for sale. So I rang up Bobby Lagana, Dom's brother, Torrance's. I said, there's Killer there. And he goes, no, he's up the road. Why? And I said, well, just tell him I own his car. And he goes, what? He said, well, I said, it's for sale, correct? He goes, yeah. He said, well, just tell him I own it. He said, well, don't you want to know how much? I said, I got a rough idea what he wants for it. Just tell him I own it. He said, well, you're going to come over and look at it, right? And I said, no.
Yep.
I said, I've already seen it before. I said, the thing's mint. So about an hour later, Killer rings, got to buy the car, and the deal was done that day on the phone. A couple of days later, I wired some money over.
There's a bit of a recurring theme here, and this is not waiting too long.
Yeah, no, Craig. Yeah, spontaneous decision. Yeah.
And tell us what you'll do with this and what you expect. Motor-wise, obviously, it's going to have a
we're building. Yeah, we're building a motor at the moment in the engine room for it. Just waiting on parts. It has a Hemi bell housing, a Hemi clutch. The clutch came with it, and the headers. The exhaust came with it. If I had no bell housing, no clutch, and no exhaust, I'd actually put a big block Ford in it with a blower on it.
Yeah, wow.
Because the ceiling's 6,999, and a big block Ford with a blower do that easily. So it's a Maverick. I would put a Ford in it, but it had a bell housing and a titanium clutch and headers. So that's a whole lot of work you don't have to do. So it just made common sense to use a Chrysler. So the spare stuff lying around from the A fuel car are the short block wise, and we've got some alcohol heads and a blower going on it.
And you're going to drive it?
I'm going to have a go. If I fail, I won't swear. If I can't get down there, then I'll give Anthony can have a go, but I'll have a go. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the crew, because your crew's been with you a long, long time, and 3/4 of them Howick based. Billy,
they're all Howick based. Daryl, Billy, Sean Casson, Kyle. Sean Casson, Kyle. The boys, the sons, were all with us. We've had the crew since 2000 when we built the small block Ford rear engine rail. Still the same crew today, 20 years later.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we all get on good. It's we've all got the same passion, and very, very good crew, good boys.
And everyone's got their job to do, and you can see like when you're at the skip, like when you come back after a run, they all go about doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
Here we are in the workshop of Auckland Harley Davidson, and you're preparing your V-Rod. What do you go through? Is it just maintenance, or have you got a set procedure that you follow?
Yeah, pretty much the team here, Sean and the team, he's our number one mechanic, and he prepares all the bikes for us, which is great. And he races himself, so but no, there's a set procedure that we do go through. Oil changes every few meetings. The V-rods are very, very, really good to look after. They, we only rebuild them once every couple of seasons, and which is fantastic, from a racing point of view compared to what we used to race in the old days. So very, very forgiving sort of unit to ride, and they just spin along beautifully.
So tell us about how this came about, because the V-Rod is basically Harley Davidson stock drag bike, isn't it?
It's derived from the stock road bike, and which they started in 2002, and they came out originally with a 1135cc engine, and then they grew to a 1250 on the road bikes, and then they bought that bike out in late 2005, 2006. The V-Rod Destroyer, as you see it there, and that there now is 1300cc straight out of the factory. So very, very good unit, and extremely reliable, and just does the business. About 160 horsepower at the back wheel, and they guarantee straight out of the factory sub 10 seconds. So, which is pretty good, for because they haven't lightened them up that much. They put some aluminium wheels on them, which are a lot lighter than the stock wheels, obviously, and just a single disc and a few things like that. But the basic bike the frame and the axles and all those bits and pieces that could be a lot lighter, they just left the same. So for it to run that is pretty incredible. So yeah, great unit.
Okay, well, you race it and race it very
Sure.
successfully. You've gone a whole lot quicker than 10 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll put that down to your talent and Harley-Davidson's power.
Yeah.
Tell us, like I've watched you come to the line a million times and they say that preparation's everything in racing. Do you do the same thing every time as you come up into staging after you've done the burnout, or is it a little bit different?
Yeah, no, we I try and follow a procedure, but every day's different. The track's different. So some days you got to let your tyre down a little bit more, or back off the launch control a little bit if the track's a little bit greasy. But most of the time at Mary it's fantastic. So we've got them wound up to 8600 on the launch, and we just pin the line and try and get as close to that green light coming on as we can without a red light appearing.
And you were telling me that you literally dump the clutch, don't you? It's
Absolutely,
not
yeah.
you just
That's
dump
right. Yeah, it's got launch control, so you can sit on there at full noise and just dump the clutch as you see the green. So they're a great machine to ride, and then they've got air shifter for us going down to go through the 5 gears, and a shift light. So we've got all that set, as tight as we can at optimum RPM. The only thing we're allowed to change in this class is on that bike is the tunes. You can put your own tune in that bike to make it, for the day, for the weather conditions or whatever, if the guys want to. And second gear is not that strong from factory, so before we actually run that, we change second gear, exactly, yeah.
And that's just reliability, anything.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, we do that so that we don't have to pull them down every half season and put a new gear in. We can run them 2 seasons without that gear failing now.
Well, folks, we've come to the end of another busy Hot Rod show here, coming to you from Auckland Harley-Davidson. That's it, unfortunately. You have to wait till next Thursday to get your fix of the Hot Rod show. But if you're a bit of a master online, you can watch us on Facebook and also on YouTube. Drag racing this weekend comes in the form of the Nitro Funny Cars at Mary Drag Strip. Ray and his team on the Screaming V-Rods will be down there. The Hot Rod show will be there as well. We might see you too. Until then, stay safe on the road. We'll see you next Thursday.